They say history is written by the victors.
First ever Rampage win!
Names that appear over and over in the history books.
Welcome to the two-timer club.
Champions. Kings. Legends. But when does a generation stop looking up to their heroes and decide to become them?
Carson Storch.
The present and future of free ride.
A new guard is rising. Are legends for a reason. And the thing with history is, kings don't just hand over the throne.
Right here.
You have to take it. This is Rampage, and you're watching the Red Bull Signature Series.
You got a little, you can use much more.
Welcome everybody to the Red Bull Signature Series. I am your host, Sal Masekela. The picturesque landscape of southwestern Utah. Now, for most people, this terrain is difficult to hike up, but for a select few, this is the perfect terrain to send it down on a mountain bike. Every year, the mountain biking community descending upon Virgin, Utah for what is beyond the Super Bowl of this sport. It is more than a championship game. It is really an event unlike any other in sports. These are not just the best riders in their sport. They also have to be visionaries to turn an unrideable mountain into a mountain biking masterpiece. A second year in this specific venue means these riders have two things on their minds: renovations of their lines and redemption. Other than one man, last year's champion Brett Rheeder, the rest of the riders returning this year have had 364 days to dwell on what could have been. The top three looking for redemption: 2018 second place finisher Andreu Lacondeguy, and two men who never even got to complete their lines: two-time winner Brandon Semenuk and 2016 third place finisher Mr. Carson Storch. The first competitor is about to drop, so we're going to send it over to Pat Parnell and Cam McCaul.
Thanks a lot, Sal. It is so hard to believe that this is the 14th running of Red Bull Rampage, but the good thing with that is we've come to expect a couple of things. An unparalleled, visceral, infectious energy every time we step foot in these hills in Utah. And then secondly, the evolution, whether it be from the riders or the actual riding that we get to see.
For sure. And 14 years is long enough to where we can kind of start to look back and recognize a few patterns. The first one that comes to mind is 2 years ago, 17. It was year number 2 at Venue 4, and every single rider made it top to bottom. They all had their plan, they executed it, they knew, they learned from the year before. This is year number 2 at venue number 5, and this venue in particular, we've been calling this the best venue in the history of Rampage. So could we see another best Rampage ever? All the ingredients are there.
I'm going to say absolutely, because this is the intersection of inspiration and impossible, and it's about to go down. Right now, we jump on board with Rampage veteran freeride legend with the GoPro course preview.
What up, folks? Darren Fairclough here, 2019 Red Bull Rampage, and this is your GoPro course preview. There's a bunch of different lines down this Rampage site, and I'm not going to be able to ride all of them, but I'm going to take you down for a few and show you some of the bigger features. We're going deep on the first drop. Jump some speed into the middle of the course here. Got Ethan's line off to our left. Coming off the main ridge line. Drop it in. Coming at ya. Coming into T-Max drop. Comes in super blind. One of the crazy things about this line is he could literally take his hand off and scrape that side of the cliff. Okay, folks, we're on the far rider's right of the course, and I'm going to be showing you some of Brendan Fairclough's line. So, rolling up onto Dwayne Johnson. Definitely some serious height there. All right, folks, Carson's line. Got a huge booter. They land on this landing, and as you can see, they come up to this wide takeoff, looking at nothing but the valley below, and are planning to send it all the way down there. Coming down for the final booters, on the gap, coming off the top, on this big old jump, like this, into the finish corral. Hopefully getting a seat on the chair. And that is your GoPro course preview for the 2019 Red Bull Rampage. Whew.
Some great perspective there. Now, the format is this: 2 runs, best run counts. Following the first runs, we re-rack the order based on the success of the first run. Now, our esteemed panel of judges will be looking closely at 5 categories, Cam.
They're looking at line choice. This is a complete blank canvas out here. That's what we always talk about. You can choose whatever line you want. Speed and fluidity, how smooth you are from top to bottom, amplitude, the size of the cliffs you're riding off of, and the tricks you choose to do while you're in the air. The steely focus of one of the new guards of free ride, Carson Storch, about to drop. Before we get to him, we check in with Tina Dixon.
In the sport of mountain biking, a rider sits in that start gate by himself, waiting for that countdown to drop. They perform their tricks as an individual, so you would think much of it is done on their own. But to get to this point at Rampage, it takes a team effort. It is a collaborative effort, including working with some of your competitors. Now, each rider does have that dig team, but they also work with their friends and other riders to test speeds, landings, make sure a feature is doable. And when that rider crosses the finish line, they will be by themselves, but that team, including those diggers, will be right there with them.
The 26-year-old Carson Storch found the podium in 2016 with a third. A crash here last year forces the focus on redemption and a top-to-bottom run.
You know, the story with Carson Storch here is he has tasted blood. He's been on that podium in 2016. He hasn't been able to return to that podium. This is the biggest moment of his year right here. Let's see if he can do it again.
2, 1.
Storch is on course, starting things off.
So the great thing about returning to the same venue, there we go, starting out an opposite 360 for Carson Storch, already improving on his plan from last year. The great thing about returning to the same venue is he already has a great plan in place. Both runs went awry last year, so he knows exactly what to do. He's been working for the last 10 days to fix those mistakes that happened 12 months ago.
Taking his time, being awfully deliberate here.
Oh, beautiful execution of that step-down flip there for Carson. That landing, the long run out, keeping it raw and rugged out here. A toboggan on this setup jump. This is where his run fell apart last year in both run 1 and 2.
You got this.
Oh, you hear that?
Yeah, you can hear the breathing heavy on Carson Storch at this point.
So the crux of this run will be the big 360 drop coming up shortly. There we go, he does it!
Sticks the landing!
Yes! That is a trick that took him out in one of his runs last year. Oh, wow!
Almost overcooks it.
Wow, great job holding on to that. Going for the backflip Superman, coming off the lip, realizing that he's over-rotating a little bit, and keeping those legs from fully extending so that he can adjust the speed and not over-rotate. What a run from Carson Storch, and what a way to start this competition.
The new is now with 26-year-old Carson Storch, fist pump and all. That is exactly what you want to lay down in your first of 2 runs.
Oh,
incredible.
Wow. That is a message to all the riders standing up at the top of that hill. All right, let's take a look back. Here's that step-down flip. Watch his eyes peering through his armpits to get a visual of that landing. Now, this is one of my favorite features out here in Carson's run, this massive 360 drop. We saw him spin it last year, so we knew that's probably what he was planning to do this year. A little bit over-rotate, but he was able to hold on. And here, if you were to criticize this run at all, it would be not getting full extension on that backflip Superman. He's looking to have those legs completely straight in a horizontal plane. Let's see what the judges do with this one, Pat.
And there it is, an 85.66 on his first of 2 runs. He will sit in the first place position with so many other riders yet to go, and that is how you want to start to set the pace with a run like we just witnessed from Carson Storch. Just moments away from 2-time Rampage champion Brandon Semenuk to take to his first of 2 runs here in Virgin, Utah. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Rampage, a part of Red Bull Signature Series, is sponsored by GoPro, world's most versatile camera. By Polaris, elevate your adventure. And by Venmo. Welcome back, everyone, to the Red Bull Signature Series. This is Rampage from Southern Utah. This being the second year at this venue, the riders are naturally more familiar with the terrain, but for some, it also means there is a lot of unfinished business from 2018 for not only the competitors, but their build teams as well.
Typically year one, it's finding a line that's achievable within the build days, but there's like a lot of rough spots.
Brandon Semenuk, we call him meticulous.
You're not like confident on it and it's not finished 100%.
A corn 720. Oh!
So this year we can kind of like add to lines or fix things that didn't work as well as we hoped.
Bit of a struggle with a certain jump. So I think we're gonna change that up, make sure it's a little better.
He tries it again. Does he get it? No! Fingers crossed we get to come back here because I would love to see this run.
You don't have the builders, you don't have Rampage. I feel like we're just as much a part of it as they are. I love it. It's a way to be creative, artistic. It's rewarding in a way, especially when you have someone like Brandon taking off and doing some crazy stuff off of it. It's pretty cool.
The build's one of the most important things. Without a good build, you're not gonna stand out.
There is a reason why Brandon Semenuk is so highly revered. His all-or-nothing approach, and last year it didn't pay off with 2 crashes. This year, he, along with his dig crew Justin Wiper and Evan Young, are determined to do it proper, and I think right now, Cam, fair to say, anticipation has never been this high.
Oh, I mean, anytime you see Brandon Semenuk in the start gate of a mountain bike competition, it is cause for excitement, especially because, you know, he has so much unfinished business from just a year ago. Starting things off the same way that Carson Storch did with that opposite 360 off the start drop. Suicide no-hander off that setup jump. Now, there were so many question marks after he crashed both runs last year. What did he have planned at the bottom? We never got an answer to that, so hopefully we will right now. Look at that, a manual across that rock.
Such finesse from Semenuk. So far, right on track.
So here, this is the steepest part of his run, a technical double drop, and here's where he crashed both runs last year. There we go, good choice. He changed that jump up. Instead of doing the cork 720, he's going for that smooth, slow rotated 450. So Semenuk looking to traverse all the way across from rider's right to rider's left of this venue here. A big whipped out knack-knack on that unique jump. Now here's this lily pad feature. We've been wondering what he's, there we go. What? The flat drop into the lily pad, having to immediately take off the ground again.
Insane reaction time needed by that.
Backflip one-footed can on the step down. Now what's he got for us on the last hit on his line? Whoa, a fast plant 360 to finish things off for Brandon Semenuk.
Showing such progression sprinkled throughout that run from top to bottom. Semenuk, the first of 2 now in the books.
Okay, well, there you have it. That's probably how he planned to finish his run last year. We finally got to get a glimpse of that. The big question is, how will the judges weigh this out against the magnitude of Carson Storch's run? This run from Brandon Semenuk is packed with nuance. I mean, let's think back. I'm counting 8 different times he was in the air doing tricks here. He traversed so far across the venue. It had some steep and technical, but this is probably the crux right here. This flat drop backflip into the lily pad. The margin for error there is so minuscule. If you come up short, you come up long, you're already taking off on the second hit. And then to cap it off with this fast plant 360, dragging his foot across the top of the lip to initiate that 360 rotation.
Wow, the lines are officially blurred between film parts and contest runs. Semenuk, let's send it down to Tina Dixon, who's with Brandon.
Brandon, top to bottom with all those tricks, what has the anticipation been like leading up to this event and this year?
Yeah, just obviously disappointing last year, so just keen to get a clean run, and yeah, I was feeling really good, so I'm like so stoked on that run. It was exactly how I was hoping it would go, and yeah, see how it scores.
Yeah, we're still waiting for scores down here. I was watching you in practice earlier. At what point did you feel like you had this?
Honestly, like a good practice this morning really helped. Like I was just feeling good. I didn't feel burnt out like years prior. I was just like ready to ride. So obviously still nerve-wracking, but I was feeling it.
All right, so we just got your score, a 9.2.33, and you have just moved into the lead now.
There it is. We have a new leader. His face might not show it, but Brandon Semenuk, that is redemption at its finest here at Red Bull Rampage. So Semenuk now in the top spot, a sigh of relief between him and his dig crew. And now he's forced to sit and wait as we move to the top. The boisterous Brit, the 31-year-old, has yet to find the podium here. However, his downhill background mixed with that nice dose of creativity could potentially pose a threat to the field.
3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good one, Pat. This is one of the crowd favorite lines from last year. Now Brendan getting scored lower than a lot of the fans would have liked to see, but scoring high enough to finish in the top 10 and earn another invite back, and he's added some to this line here this year. That drop is new. Now he's got this new hip feature lining up into one of the most talked about features in Rampage history right here, the rock. Oh, yeah,
Yes.
Look at that. That's what the people love right there. Fast and loose, keeping it raw and rugged, true to the roots of Rampage. Now, Brendan Fairclough riding further riders right here than anybody else in the field. Now, he's approaching his canyon gap. Oh! Come on!
You can see everyone on course just electrified.
So the reason why that is so shocking is Brendan Fairclough is a World Cup downhill racer. Not a rider you typically expect to see backflipping across 50-foot canyons. And look at that!
Again, upside down Fairclough, wasting no time to get inverted.
So on that last one, Pat, he had a variation. He took his hands off while upside down. That's even more surprising. That's like a slope-style trick from a World Cup racer here. What a run!
No margin for error, too, on that canyon gap. Had to land perfect, and he did just that. Fairclough, what a relief.
Wow, Brendan Fairclough silencing the critics here. There was such a debate last year. Brendan should have been rewarded, people say, for the unique nature of his line. Then other people would critique and say, well, he didn't trick. Well, take a look at this shot right here on board with that GoPro POV, backflipping that 50-foot long canyon. Look how deep of a chasm that is if you were to come up short, which he did in practice, but this line checks all the boxes. This steep technical descent of that section known as the crack. You're gonna get another angle here of this canyon gap backflip.
And just no margin for error on that landing. And you can see, you had Ollie Wilkins, Ben Deacon watching, celebrating his dig crew. I mean, I think the faces say it all, Cam.
Well, the hard work that Brendan has put in learning to trick that downhill bike and the hard work of his dig team all paying off right here in this moment.
And there it is, it's official, 87.66. Fairclough into second place for the moment. Incredible. Fairclough showing his ability to evolve and push his comfort factor when it comes to tricks. Our next rider up is known for just that, willing to risk for the reward, especially while inverted. Poland's Szymon Godziek's first run. Right after this, you're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Welcome back, everyone, to the Red Bull Signature Series atop the ridgelines in Virgin, Utah, in the midst of the first of two runs at Red Bull Rampage, with Poland's finest free-riding export, Szymon Godziek, his wife Kasia, along with daughter anxiously watched from below. Godziek, known for pushing the envelope when it comes to extension and getting inverted.
3, 2, 1.
Well, Godziek with such an impressive performance just a year ago, 8th place, earning himself an instant invite back this year, starting out his run strong, backflip off the start tower. Now, you talked about Szymon Godziek being the finest freeride export out of Poland. Poland is such an unlikely place to produce Rampage competitors. It is flat. I've been there. I've visited Szymon. Wow, look at that! Massive! Taking off from the furthest back takeoff point of Price is Right drop. Now, this guy does not have this type of terrain to practice at home. Look at that. Toboggan on the new drop that he did not have last year. Now, this is a new routing as well. Hip in, completely off camber. He spun this last year. Here he is, spinning it again. Oh, so smooth. What a year has done for his precision. Front flip. Szymon Godziek. You know what? When he comes out here to Utah, he savors every minute. You know, a lot of these riders can come out and practice with a short few-hour drive, but Szymon Godziek prepares the entire week leading up to the event, and it's insane to think for how much he can progress in a year's time without terrain like this at home.
Yeah, the entire year utilizing compounds and that focus, that discipline paying off right there for Szymon Godziek. His wife Cassie, along with their daughter, what a sigh of relief for them. So he has a solid run in the books.
So here we go. This is the furthest back takeoff on Price is Right. There's about 3 or 4 different ways to make it to that landing, and Szymon Godziek deciding to step it up to the highest bid this year. And then there we go, a new drop. He does the toboggan, putting the left hand on the seat, and then there's so much exposure, that chicane leading into this big 360 drop. Now that 360 drop is a little bit lower than Carson Storch's, but that's still going to factor high on his trick and amplitude score.
There it is with the 86.66. Godziek moves into 3rd place for the moment. Incredible. Right now, back to the top as we continue with the first runs. Now, imagine you have not only seen every Red Bull Rampage, but you've actually competed in every one of them. Oh, and by the way, with quite a bit of success. That is the situation for this man, Kyle Strait.
This is Kyle Strait.
Kyle Strait.
Kyle Strait.
Kyle Strait, a verified veteran of Rampage.
Kyle's the only one that's done every single Red Bull Rampage.
Baby Kyle, at 14 years old, riding the very first Rampage when people who were professional downhill riders were unsure of it, and he just fit right in.
Makes it look easy.
Won it when he was 17.
Throughout his whole career, he's always been able to adapt to different stuff. Then this kind of event is what's really important.
As far as overall bike control and overall skill, and he's just the man.
Zink versus Kyle Strait. This is like a final.
He's won slalom races, and he got 11th at World Cup downhill and won this event twice. And I don't know, it's just a long, long lineage of bitchin' stuff.
That's crazy that he can still be in it and a contender for the win. He won't talk to his friends when it's close to the event because we're competitors, we're not friends anymore.
No more hugs. No, your hugs it now.
I don't want any hugs.
I know. He loves my hugs.
Oh, you gotta love it. Baby Kyle now into Papa Bear Kyle. A sturdy and steady free-riding fixture. It's almost impossible to think of a Rampage without Kyle Strait. A 2-time winner and always a threat when it comes to the podium here, Cam.
Yeah, wins in 2004 and 2013. He's always adapted to whatever is current and how the judges are scoring. So let's see what kind of plan he puts together here in 2019. You heard Cam Zink say in that feature, when it comes to just sheer bike control, this man is untouchable. But in this era, so many tricks being thrown down, what will Kyle Strait choose to apply to this terrain? Oh yeah! There is that trademark suicide no-hander off the large takeoff on Price is Right, the same one we saw Godziek just take off on. So notice, Pat, the speed he's carrying on some of these technical setups. Now here's the biggest drop on his line. Keeping it smooth on that one, smart for run number 1. But he's got a big trick jump coming up. Here we go, backflip, suicide, no-hander. That's a new one for Kyle Strait. You know him for his suicide no-handers off of drops, but he's not known for doing that combination right there. A very technical combo.
So Strait sprinkling in all those signature moves, the suicide no-hander. We love to see the backflip with that suicide approach. So Kyle Strait, another fresh top-to-bottom run for the 2-time previous Red Bull Rampage champ.
When you're in your 14th Rampage, you have your Finnish corral dance down pat. Look at this. This guy's done this a couple times. Let's take a look back at some highlights here. This is my favorite part. Nobody stretches out a suicide no-hander like Kyle Strait. See how lazy he was on the return. He's in no hurry to get those hands back on the handlebars. And here we go, a little bit of a straight air. Nice style, but the judges will dock him. Carson Storch was 360 in that drop, so that's what we're talking about, the level of competition here in 2019. But here's where Kyle Strait rises to the occasion. The technicality in this trick, you have to lean back, pinch the seat, hit the front brake to keep the front handlebars from moving while you take your hands off. Great extension on that backflip no-hander as well.
So there
gets a taco.
Yeah, 83.33 for Kyle Strait as we send it down to Tina Dixon, who's in the corral.
Yeah, and going to every Red Bull Rampage, you know, this sport, it just gets better and better. The line and the boundaries get pushed farther and farther, and with you attending everyone, what have you had to push and focus, especially on this year's run?
Sorry, Tina, I'm just eating a taco, but you know what?
Do you like that, eating lunch right now?
Yeah, you know what? Pushing my limits along with what we can do on mountain bikes is what I'm all about. And, you know, like, building here has been awesome. And basically, no matter how old you are, I got to keep pushing it, right? And having fun.
Exactly, and what do you have to say about all the runs so far? We've seen so many top to bottom runs, including from you.
You know, that really just has to come with the amount of practice we've been able to get, and then the no wind. I mean, that makes us stoked to ride. When there's no wind and we got tons of practice, we're ready to show the fire.
And it's been so much fun to watch. All right, guys.
Thanks, Tina. Yeah, textbook conditions allowing for a little taco time for Strait. Now, with just a handful of the first of 2 runs in the books, the level continues to get pushed. When we return, a rider who plans to attack one of the biggest drops on course, moments away from Tyler McCaul's run. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Welcome back to the Red Bull Signature Series here in the stunning and unrelenting landscape of Virgin, Utah. For one rider, the yearly quest to come here and savor the soil and perfect terrain just wasn't enough. Tyler McCaul realized being local was the answer. Tyler McCaul, a rider known for taking a very aggressive approach. Oh, no!
I feel like I learn a little bit every year. 2012, 5th, 2013, 5th, 2015, didn't get to ride finals. 2016, 7th, 2017, 8th, and then 2018, 6th. Slowly trying to climb my way up.
Tyler McCaul has loved this riding so much, the kid even bought a house just down there. You can almost see it from this vantage point.
It takes me 15 minutes to get up to Virgin where we do Rampage. We love it here. It's been 6 months and it feels like home already. Just being able to ride this terrain has been pretty helpful in wrapping my head around Rampage and just getting prepped for it.
You know, I thought last year there was so much risk involved in his line.
And it scored me in a pretty good position, so I know that the judges like the line. I've been beating myself up over the fact that I didn't flip something I was supposed to flip. If I can just do what I set out to do last year, plus more, I'll be pretty content.
His genesis as a free rider has been amazing to watch, and his commitment is definitely starting to pay off. The big question, can he jump from 2 fifth-place finishes to a top spot? Knowing what he has planned, it's definitely big enough. For more on that, we check in with Tina.
And there is so much for these riders to memorize, and with this being one of the steepest mountains in Rampage history, braking and speeds become more important than ever. So for Tyler McCaul, take a look. He actually physically marks a line in his approach, and he knows at this point to quit braking because it will give him the right amount of speed to hit the landing in that perfect spot. And guys, to add to that, this is one of the biggest drops in today's competition.
Indeed, thank you, Tina. The margin for error, 0. And with family in tow down in the corral and in the booth right now, I'm gonna say anxiety is high.
Well, yeah, I mean, the dedication this kid has put into this event, moving here, dropping an anchor. I've been visiting him twice since he moved, and I can tell you firsthand, the amount his riding has progressed is insane, but it all comes down to this.
A scary but promising thought. Tyler McCaul on course, starts with the flip.
Backflip tabletop to start things off, and fast on the ridgeline. The judges always take note of that. The subtleties, like there, taking off the top, not rolling into that drop. He's the only one doing that. So Tyler McCaul sticking to the same line he had last year, but look at that, adding things to it, like the backflip through the crack takeoff on Price is Right.
Perfectly greased landing, McCaul right on point.
That flip is so technical, you have to creep into that. And speaking of creeping into a takeoff, this downhill takeoff where he literally drew a line in the sand. There we go, connects right to the top of that landing. So there we go. He's got one last big trick jump to put an exclamation point on this run. A backflip, smooth to the landing there for Tyler McCaul.
And there it is, in his sights, the finish corral. T-Mac finds success on his first of 2.
Wow. Oh, every single morning he wakes up thinking about this moment right here. He was kicking himself for not flipping that start feature last year. We got that monkey off his back, and then he got this second monkey off his back. He and Cam Zink had been planning on flipping that, but left it until right now for the finals. There we go. Onboard GoPro POV of the triple dipper, the biggest hit on his line. And you heard Darren Fairclough talk about it earlier. See how close he is to the side of that cliff wall. He could reach out and touch it.
Definitely laid everything on the line. Scores coming in 87. T-Mac now finds himself in third place in the midst of the first of two runs. So current standings look like this. McCaul in third, Fairclough in second, and Brandon Semenuk, the top spot. Semenuk still soaring. Can anyone eclipse the two-time champion? Still more first runs when Red Bull Signature Series continues. Welcome back, everyone. It is the Red Bull Signature Series. Nearly flawless conditions are playing host to the world's elite freeride mountain bikers. Minimal wind, recent rain, and sunny skies prevail. And when you're a rider like 23-year-old Tom Van Steenbergen, things like wind are the last thing you want to worry about. You have to imagine, too, his focus steadily to improve from that fourth-place finish last year. This Canadian is a contender. Let's see what he has.
Oh, you know he wants a podium spot so bad. His approach to freeride mountain biking is as heavy as they come. And look at that. What a heavy way to start a Rampage run. Flat drop front flip off the start feature. Now, Tom Van Steenbergen sharing sections of this line with Ethan Nell. They both built that right-hand hip, and he'll be lining up to the crux feature that he backflipped last year. But first, look at that off of Price is Right. The middle takeoff, huge amplitude. So Tom Van Steenbergen planning to flat drop backflip off of this big drop. He did it last year and almost over-rotated. Let's see if a year's worth of time to think about it pays off. It does. Look at that. How does he have the air awareness to put those two tires down at the same time? Here we go, the trick jump, a backflip, one-footed can-can.
And look at the body language. Tom is feeling it. Incredible top-to-bottom run as he just launches his bike into the corral. That is how it's done.
We're gonna have to start a new category for the best end zone dance here at Rampage.
Van Steenbergen.
What a run.
Finds such the extra gear on that run.
Okay, two humongous tricks here, both off of flat drops, both rotations. There was that front flip. Perfect. Here's that back flip. You notice there's no lip right there. That scores so much higher. And when you execute it like that, you know you're getting maximum score out of that on the judges' card. But we've seen riders throw huge moves away like that, but not Tom Van Steenbergen. He evolves every single year to a more fully formed athlete, and this run's got to be one of the best of his life.
Well, last year he got a fourth, and right with that, an 89.66. Van Steenbergen moves into second place. And still more first runs to come, and for some, our purpose or rightful course just happens. Call it chance, happenstance, or even geography. And when your zip code just so happens to be 84779, well, it's no surprise that you want to be on two wheels and in the red dirt around Zion.
This is my backyard. I'm in love with this place. It's my favorite place to ride.
Oh, what a run for the local boy. You can hear the state of Utah getting behind this young rider.
Having a home event here, which is the biggest event of the year, is awesome. Being able to go back to my own house at night.
When I moved here, there was jumps in the backyard. DJ Brandt fell in love with it just like me, and so he was crashing on Ethan's couch in the basement as well.
Reed and Deej are a couple of my best buddies, and they live with me most winters.
Yo, what's up? This is DJ Brandt. We got Ethan Nell. We just bought ourselves a new car for Rampage.
Local life is, it's a bit weird.
Works fun.
We dig out here all the time. We come to Rampage, and we're just like, okay, like we know what we're doing.
Ethan Nell, he thinks he's gonna win Rampage every year. 2 years in a row, he's gotten third place. So I'm sure he's hoping to get first or second, and I really think he can do it.
So he was weaned on watching Red Bull Rampage. The 22-year-old has put so much time, and to have 2 third-place finishes, he can only go higher at this point. We know what he has in store. Is it going to be enough?
Well, the pressures, first of all, to be the local boy. Second of all, to have podium perfection and have to try to upkeep those stats. Let's see if he can do it here. Suicide no-hander to start off the run. Now, he's going to also stick to a similar path as he had last year. We saw him flip this last year. There he goes, flipping it again. Perfect execution. Now, yep, there was rumors he had a trick for that. Nice flat spin, 450 on that right-hand hip. And this is what we saw him ride last year. Making sure he doesn't repeat any tricks there, just going smooth on that double step down rhythm section. But he's going to hit that same drop as Tom Van Steenbergen did, but just be a little bit rider's left here. And oh yeah, I was gonna say that. The rumors were that he was going to flip that. He put a little kicker on that just moments before finals started. Oh no! Oh no! That's supposed to be the easy part of the run. Okay, first of all, hopefully he's all right. There we go, he's up and moving, but okay, that's supposed to be the easy part of his run. You would expect to see him do a flat spin 360 on that and just drive home the exclamation point. That is a very uncharacteristic bobble from Ethan Nell.
And the landing on this. Oh, what?
Yeah, that step down flip was perfect. This overspin 450 on this hip was perfect. That was a flawless run all the way up until that bobble. I don't know if he was celebrating too early, but here's a highlight here, going deep on the landing there. And that's him stepping outside of his comfort zone, flipping a drop that big. But here's where the run ended. I'm not sure if he just didn't have the right speed. I'm sure he was planning on spinning that, but a whip gone wrong there. And Ethan Nell will have to go back up for his second run.
That's right. All or nothing for Nell on his second run. Only 2 riders left to drop in on run number 1, and that is defending champ Brett Rheeder and last year's second place finisher Andreu Lacondeguy. Stay close. More to come from the Red Bull Signature Series right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Red Bull Signature Series here in Virgin, Utah. Defending champ Brett Rheeder will be the last to take his first run. Before him, about to drop none other than the high-energy, full-throttle 2014 winner, Andreu Lacondeguy.
Oh, his approach to this competition is by far my favorite. There's so much aggression and speed in all of his runs. A first and 2 seconds on his resume. Let's see what he's got in 2019. Strong start there. Andreu Lacondeguy backflipping the start feature, but this is where he really shines. Look at the dirt coming off of that back tire.
Signature speed. I call him an angry hornet. Unbridled approach.
The speed he takes into these lines, almost getting a little off there, but he was able to reconnect. So he shares this double drop with Brandon Semenuk. There we go, huge amplitude going so high on that flat spin 450. But once he gets onto this ridge, this is where things really become back-to-back.
What? You gotta be,
Oh my. I mean, he appears to be all right. I've never seen anything like that, Pat.
Well, Lacondeguy literally had less than thousandths of a second to react as medical staff attends to him. We'll keep you posted on his condition, but going back from the top of the run.
Well, this is what you run the risk of encountering when you have that all-out, no-holds-barred approach to big mountain riding. Andreu Lacondeguy is just trying to play toward his strengths. He rides his line faster than anybody, but this is what could happen. You could overshoot. And when the line is a rhythm section, you only have a split second to set up for the next trickable feature. That's what could happen. He was flipping that no matter what happened. He'd already decided that in his head. I can't believe the commitment of this rider.
Well, it is great to see him up on his feet. Andreu Lacondeguy visibly disappointed.
Wow.
And just fingers crossed that he will get back to the top and drop in on his second run.
Well, fingers crossed his fingers are okay. That's some aggression.
Once scores come
2 minutes. 2 minutes right now, actually.
The calm, collected focus of the defending champ. And it turns out getting to the top takes time. Just ask Brett Rheeder.
I've won slopestyle contests.
From Canada, Rheeder.
And as the years go on, it becomes a little less significant. But here at Rampage, I started from absolutely the very bottom.
You know, when he first showed up, he was not a big mountain rider, one bit whatsoever.
Probably shouldn't have even been out here, but I just made it work.
Now, this kid has an exceptionally large bag of tricks. I think we can see huge things from this guy.
You know, one thing led to another, and last year was my 6th Rampage.
Now here's the double drop. Nobody else is riding this.
Oh! After my first run last year and they put me in first, like, I couldn't believe it. I went out of my comfort zone so far, and we worked so hard, and that win was 6 years in the making.
For someone that comes here and clearly does not love it at first, to come around full circle and to win it, that's impressive.
It's like the biggest reward ever. It was like the best thing that's ever happened to me.
These mountains do not discriminate, as we saw with last year, Brandon Semenuk. Now he's sitting on a 92.33. You see him down below watching. He knows Brett Rheeder, the defending champ, has everything in the arsenal to challenge that number. Can Rheeder do it back-to-back? Here we go, run number 1.
Well, Rheeder looking to make history right now. Nobody's actually ever won Rampage back-to-back. Oh! Front flip off the start drop, kicking things off the same way we saw Tom Van Steenbergen. So this is the line that won the event last year, this very technical drop leading in to this trickable feature. Now he flipped it last year. Let's see what he's got. There it is, that trademark flat drop underflip. He puts his own unique style on that. I like how he's a little bit off axis. The judges loved it too last year. And now here's one part, a little short on that. That's one part that he improved on his line from last year. He didn't have that jump a year ago. And now Brett Rheeder is going to line up to a couple more trickable features here before he's into the finish line corral. A regular rotated 360 off of that drop. Now he needs speed for this final trick jump. What trick will he choose?
Yes!
Nice, an opposite direction rotated 360. Wow, look at that.
Slow rotation brings it right into the crowd. Defending champ Brett Rheeder with an incredible top to bottom run on his first of 2.
So take a look. He talked about stepping outside of his comfort zone last year. I'll tell you, he's making a habit out of that because front flipping that start drop is outside of pretty much everybody's comfort zone. That score's so high, it's so incredibly consequential, difficult to initiate that rotation. Speaking of rotation, here's that flat drop backflip that earned him the gold last year, putting it straight down to the landing. The judges take everything into consideration, how smooth the landings are. That's why, if you were to critique this run, that would be the one spot right there, a little bit short on that new jump where he did the 360 his regular direction.
Minor deductions. Right now, we send it down to Tina Dixon.
And when I spoke to him earlier today, Brett, you said that you had not yet really practiced that new trick jump. Walk us through that along with the rest of your run.
Yeah, we just finished that jump that I came up short on last night, and I got a couple hits on it. I was going too fast. We needed to switch the angle of the takeoff, which is good. I'm glad I cased it though, because going far on that thing is, as you saw Andreu, he went deep on that landing. And it's not good. There's like too much exposure on the right and that lip right after. So, oh my God, I'm so stoked.
You said last year when you won this event, you rode out of your comfort zone. How much are you riding out of your comfort zone with that run?
Yeah, like that run right there was fully out of the comfort zone. And I feel good now to like go up and do another one. Just like it's so hard to like get into the state of mind to send it like that, like especially in a top to bottom run, and oh my God, like it's like the best feeling ever right now. Like I don't even care what that score was. I don't care what place I came. Like just the fact that we had like minimal practice and then I got down and did that and we got to do it in front of the crowd. I don't even care. It's so sick.
Well, it was a fantastic performance.
Well, scores coming in, and it will definitely have to take another one. 84.33 moves him into 7th. It just shows you how high the stakes are right now. Current standings, Fairclough in 3rd, Van Steenbergen in 2nd, and Brandon Semenuk still in the top spot. So the best of 2 runs are put to the test as the rest of the field are about to claw their way to the top and try to best Semenuk in their 2nd runs. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Welcome back, everyone, to the Red Bull Signature Series here in Virgin, Utah. A 2-time champion now forced to sit and wait and watch the rest of the field attempt to better his run here at Red Bull Rampage. Brandon Semenuk still on top by virtue of the 92.33. And now we've re-racked the order here in the 2nd runs. The 2014 champ, Lacondeguy, back from that horrendous fall in run number 1. Can he get it done? This is his last chance.
This right here is what I love about reverse start order for 2nd run. Andreu Lacondeguy doesn't even have a chance for the adrenaline to wear off from run number 1 before he gets another opportunity to try to land it right here.
What?
Look at that! He's not slowing down either. He learned nothing. This is great.
He completely pinned in that top section. That high-speed approach that we love about Lacondeguy.
He just knows no other way. The big question here is he going to be able to keep this train on the tracks as soon as he gets up onto that other ridge where it turns into an all-out rhythm section. Smooth through the double drop. Smooth through the 450. Now he's got another 450 coming up. That's the one that he overshot in run number 1. All right, here's where it gets technical.
Oh!
There we go. He landed higher. That's perfect. Gets the back. Oh! No! Oh, wow. How did he? What? Oh, I don't know how he kept it onto that ridgeline right there. Oh, come on, Andreu. Hold it together. Flip off the step down. Okay, he has one more trick jump before this run is in the books. And we saw him try a big combo on this last year. Okay, a flat spin.
No! Lacondeguy off the rails, back on, and then off.
Oh,
such disappointment for the Spaniard.
Oh my. Okay, if you thought his first run was entertaining, take a look at this. He gets the 450, he's able to link it up into that quick mini flip, but the consequence on this ridge right here, you see him go off Rheeder's right. You can't see in this view right now, but there's a huge cliff. If he's not able to somehow pull this thing back onto the middle of the ridge, now that right there, I would not dock that. I would give that more points for just all-out aggression and ability to correct a mistake. Oh, look at the reaction.
He wasn't off the rails, he was on the 3rd rail.
Yeah, he's redefining what rails are.
Yeah.
And here's where, unfortunately, see, this jump is so hard to get speed for. You have to be absolutely perfect on the setup features before it. You know he wanted at least that flat spin 360. We saw him try a flat spin 360 Superman C crab Indian Air last year. I'm imagining if he had the right speed, that's what he would have tried there. But Andreu Lacondeguy going down swinging.
Can hold his head up high. He left it all on the dirt here in Virgin, Utah. The 2014 champ Lacondeguy, his campaign is done. Right now, back to the top. It is time for locals only. Ethan Nell, only room for improvement. Remember, his first run was a 56. Cam, what does he need to clean up to improve?
Well, he had a perfect run. It just all came down to that ejection on the final trick jump on his line. If he wants to maintain that podium perfection in his Rampage career, he's going to have to pull one out of the bag right now. Smooth start to this run with that suicide no-hander. Now flipping that step down that we saw him flip last year as well. Oh! Okay, a little bit short. See, run number 1, he landed a little bit far. So he kind of overcorrected on that flat spin 450 there. So smooth on this rhythm section, double drop, 2 step downs in a row. And this will be the crux on his line right here. We saw him flip this in run number 1, just inches riders left of where Tom Van Steenbergen took off from.
There it is again.
Oh, perfect. This time landing up a little bit higher on the landing. So he's corrected some mistakes here. He's overcompensated. Let's see what he gets on this trick jump. There it is. That's what he was looking for.
Definitive improvement for the 22-year-old Ethan Nell.
Now, it was so crazy to see him throw away that run in run number 1 because he's so consistent at Rampage. That's exactly what he needed to do. What will the judges do with this?
putting together a run like a grizzled veteran on his run number 2.
So we see riders flipping off step downs with kickers on top. We see riders flipping off step downs that have flat takeoffs. Ethan Nell has his own unique little style. He puts these tiny, tiny kickers on his flip drops. And it makes it this really interesting approach where you have to have a huge drop to make this work. And we saw him land real long in run number 1 on that big crux feature, putting it right to the perfect spot, the sweet spot at the top of the landing here in run number 2, and then ironing out the mistakes at the bottom there with that flat spin 360.
But the transfer on the hip was able to correct and move forward.
I flatted on the hip.
What?
Dude.
Okay.
Yeah, because I cased the hip. I had to.
And that just makes the run all that more amazing. You can imagine how hard it is with second runs. The judges, our esteemed panel, many former competitors here from Red Bull Rampage, having to really look from top to bottom what he put in that run. Just to move into the third spot would have to better an 87.66, and he lands just shy. Unfortunately, Ethan Nell, the best he'll be able to do is at 86, but a great run nonetheless. So current standings look like this. Brandon Semenuk still in the top spot. The big question, can defending champ Brett Rheeder climb to the top, or will it be the young and hungry Reed Boggs? Their runs when the Red Bull Signature Series continues right after this.
Welcome back to the Red Bull Signature Series. This is Rampage near Zion National Park in southern Utah. I am your host, Sal Masekela. What do you do when you've made it to the pinnacle event of your sport and then you don't get invited back the next year? Well, if your name is Reed Boggs, you compete in proving grounds, earn first place, and then get yourself a wild card slot back into the event. Then you surround yourself with the best dig team you can find, make a game plan, remember to have some fun, and do some major upgrades to your line, making sure that no one can ever question again whether or not you belong on this mountain.
Boggs just super stylish, up-and-comer, got invited to Rampage, got his first taste of it.
Reed Boggs, 360 off.
He just didn't have like a huge drop last year.
Here's that half loop feature, so technical, actually traveling backwards off of that.
To not see him on the invite list again this year was a pretty big shock.
Luckily, there was a Proving Grounds event, kind of fired me up, like, here's your time, prove that you should be in Rampage.
He put in the training, and going into Proving Grounds, he was just hungry, came in confident.
Somehow I ended up in first place, and it brought me here, and now we're back in the desert, looking for some way to freshen up the line and impress the judges.
This year coming in, we just wanted to make a massive statement of, you know, we're meant to be here.
To the top, it's like maybe like 28, 30.
I think it's bigger than that, Al.
Center of the lip, center of the landing, in the sweet spot, 55 feet, easy.
Dude, that's so big. I'm gonna go to the sweet spot, 47.
I think it's gonna be, 42.
I'll put 50 bucks on it.
Yeah, all right, I'll throw 50 on it.
All right, keep going, give him more.
Okay, hold it tight. We're at 48.
And give it to you.
I said 47.
Hit me on Venmo. Here's my code. Thanks, boys. Goals this year is to prove to the judges that I should be here for years to come.
So a healthy moto mix and BMX background has made for an amazing foundation for this young gentleman, Reed Boggs. Furthermore, it's his commitment to put himself into places, make the effort, and pay his dues. Here we go. Run number 2.
Well, Reed Boggs looking to just continue to progress his Rampage resume. That's an improvement on what he did last year. The fast plant 360, putting his foot down before takeoff. And now lining up to the same direction he rode last year into that open loop feature. But as you saw in that feature, he's got that big drop coming up. That's exactly what he needs to show that he belongs. And look at that, taking off on the middle ramp on Price is Right. That's definitely way bigger than anything he did last year, so he's already making a statement.
Reed Boggs trying to send a message. He has a rightful place here at Red Bull Rampage.
Here's this new drop. Suicide no-hander.
Yes!
And a very smooth landing. So Reed earning his spot here through the qualifying event, Marzocchi Proving Grounds, but he needs a big result to lock in for 2020. There we go, a nice off-axis backflip on that final trick jump. He's got a couple more flowy features to go. There we go, little tuck no-hander on the hip, packing it together. You can see right there, he's excited to put that run down.
Visibly elated, a quick fist pump, so Reed Boggs, solid top to bottom on his second run, and you bring up a great point. Wants also solidified his invite last year. Had to go back to proving grounds and prove that he belongs here, but with that run for sure.
Yeah, he took matters into his own hands by earning that spot through proving grounds, but right now, top 10, that's how you solidify your spot into the 2020 event. This was a very smooth run. I'm interested to see what the judges will do with it. He packed a lot in. That's what our top spot did, Brandon Semenuk's run. Similar approach here. Let's see what the score is.
Well, Semenuk is sitting on a 92.33, and it is not enough to even crack into the top 5 for Reed Boggs. And the stakes could not be higher for our next rider. That is defending champ, none other than Brett Rheeder, the Canadian, looking to go back-to-back, and there is Brandon Semenuk sitting in that top spot by virtue of the 92.33. I think we all know if one rider and one rider alone can challenge Semenuk, it is this gentleman right here.
Oh, and they have a long history of squaring up head-to-head in high-pressure contest scenarios. Now, if you think back to Brett Rheeder's first run, there is some room for improvement. The judges really docked him for that case on the 360. There we go. Another smooth front flip to start this one off for Brett. So he was flawless all the way up until the midsection on run number 1. But you never know with Brett Rheeder, a rider who has won so many slopestyle competitions. You never know what tricks he can pull out. Look at that! A flat drop backflip with the variation this time. The one-footed can-can, putting his leg across the top of the bike. That will score high. And here we go. Putting the bike to the sweet spot on that 360 on his new jump. That's where he got docked last run. Now he's got to finish strong. Now we saw Andreu Lacondeguy crash on the last feature on this line. Let's see if Brett can hold it together. That regular 360 drop coming in. This is where all the speed matters into this final trick jump. The opposite 360, even smoother this time. Wow, Brett Rheeder.
Completely perfect, almost taking a moment to enjoy the roll into the corral. Brett Rheeder searching to better that 92.33 held by Semenuk, the defending champ. Brett Rheeder, a solid, super solid second run.
Well, here's what the judges are going to be talking about right here. That's a very heavy move. The flat drop backflip is what helped him win it last year, but now he's adding a variation to it. You see, that's a great view to showcase this trick. The one-footed can-can, that left leg goes over the top tube of the bike, and then here's where he cased in run number 1. Perfect off a regular rotated 360 to the sweet spot in run number 2. So basically, adding what wasn't there in run number 1 and fixing some mistakes that were. Now, his score was so low from run number 1, you gotta wonder how much they docked him for that little case.
Well, you can imagine just how meticulous the judges are being right now. 92.33, the score to beat to move into the top spot. Defending champ Brett Rheeder. And scores coming in. There it is, a 91. It will not be back-to-back victories for Brett Rheeder. Nonetheless, he moves into second. Semenuk still on top. And Canadians holding on to the podium with only one more rider to go, Carson Storch. Before we get to him, once again, we check in with Sal Masekela.
Can Brandon Semenuk hold on to first place with his 92.33 to join Kurt Sorge in the exclusive 3-time Champs Club? Well, we're going to find out when we return with our final runs. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series.
Rampage, a part of the Red Bull Signature Series, has been sponsored by BF Goodrich Tires. What are you building for? By Utah Sports Commission. Utah, the state of sport. And by 510, the brand of the brave. Welcome back, everyone, to the Red Bull Signature Series from Southern Utah. This is Rampage, a free-ride mountain bike competition like no other. And there is the man himself, Brandon Semenuk, holding on to the top spot. He is precariously poised to capture a 3rd Red Bull Rampage title. If he does that, he joins the ranks of fellow Canadian Kurt Sorge. Only one more rider can snatch that honor from the Canadian, and it's this gentleman, the 26-year-old Carson Storch. Tina Dixon had a chance to take a closer look at his line right before the competition.
And guys, we keep talking about just how calculated these riders are. Well, I wanted to show you an example of that. This here is one of Carson Storch's jumps, and you can see he marks that takeoff. It's relatively wide, but the tires need to go right here in order to hit the sweet spot on the landing. And remember, he backflipped this jump last year.
Thanks, Tina. You can imagine how Brandon Semenuk feels having to sit and watch Carson Storch, but let's imagine how Carson Storch feels at this point.
I mean, yeah, first of all, Brandon has a huge bullet to dodge here in the form of Carson Storch. And then second of all, this is what Carson Storch trains for all year. Now, a great run in the bag, but a little bit to clean up. He didn't get the full extension on that backflip Superman. He's got so much to do before he gets to that final trick jump. Let's see if he can put the pieces together.
Looking to eclipse a 92.33.
So here's that step down flip that he executed with precision in run number 1. Once again, carbon copy, no head bob. So technical down that run out, having to control and dump speed to be able to link up these setup features, a suicide no-hander on that setup jump. Now this steep chute, lining up to the crux of his line. It will be that 360 drop that we saw him spin. Last year, we saw him spin it in run number 1, and expect to see him try that again right now. There it is. Oh,
Perfect.
yeah, perfect.
Wow, no.
Oh, what? Oh, come on. Oh, no. Carson's making balloon animals now. You gotta be kidding me.
What was leading up to be a definite threatening run to Brandon Semenuk, and with that, his hopes are dashed.
Gosh, if anybody could have swept that first place out from under Brandon Semenuk, it would have been Carson Storch here. Such a heavy-hitting line with heavy-hitting tricks on it. This 360 drop, biggest 3 drop we're seeing today. But look at that. The thin sidewalls on that tire gave way. The tube completely escaping the tire. It's all right. Well, Carson Storch's Rampage hopes are as popped as that tube right now. Such a shame to see.
And with that mishap, he officially cements this man's legacy here at Red Bull Rampage. Brandon Semenuk, he can now hold his head up even higher. He's a 3-time Red Bull Rampage champion as he drops in on a victory lap here in Virgin, Utah.
Wow, Brandon Semenuk, winner in 2008, winner in 2016, and it did not take him 8 years in between wins this time.
And when you go for redemption, to do it in this fashion, I think it sends a resounding shot across the bow to all of the rest of the field of competitors.
Well, this line just sat here for 12 months waiting for Brandon to return. And everybody else, all the mountain bike fans out there in the world, just wondering what his plans would have been. Both runs screeching to a halt last year on this feature right here where he tried to do that Cork 720. But he is absolutely a strategist. He decided to change his plan on that jump, make the jump a little bit smaller, just stick with the 450, knowing that all the other stuff he was going to do in this run could still potentially win even without that Cork 7.
And I think there's so many fans in the sport of freeride mountain biking. They're always trying to figure out what's going through his mind. I'm going to say impossible. You never know what he's concocting.
Now this feature right here definitely helped him with the win. He did that flat drop backflip into that lily pad. And then in true Brandon Semenuk fashion, just continued to trick his way down into the finish line corral. His build team worked so hard the past 2 years for this moment right here. Now Brandon Semenuk just soaking up every moment of this victory lap.
Soaking it up, a quick little fast plant into the corral, and Brandon Semenuk, your 2019 Red Bull Rampage champion, and now a 3-time Red Bull Rampage champion. The fans to their feet. What a show as we check in with Tina Dixon.
Brandon, let's go back to last year where perhaps you left this event with a little bit of frustration to now becoming a 3-time champion here at Red Bull Rampage.
Yeah, I'm like beyond stoked. Obviously last year didn't go very well, and I knew we had a good line. It was just a bit rushed and I wasn't in the right state, so stoked to come back this year and clean it up and get something good done.
We saw a lot of the riders complete top to bottom runs. A lot of rookies were out here as well, just showing their stuff. How would you sum up this event overall?
I think we had an awesome day, like a lot of clean runs. We had really great weather. And yeah, I mean, second years typically go in that direction. Like everyone's able to like take what they learned from last year and then better it this year and be more consistent and get more riding. So it's rad to see everyone get a rundown.
Congratulations, Brandon. 3-time champion.
So we take a look at the final results of the 2019 Red Bull Rampage, and you heard Tina make mention of that. So many incredible top to bottom runs, and when you have scores in the 90s, not an easy number to eclipse. Tom Van Steenbergen taking that third spot, and the rivalry alive and well between Brett Rheeder grabbing second and Brandon Semenuk joining the ranks of a 3-time winner here at Red Bull Rampage. So with the dust just starting to settle, another Red Bull Rampage is behind us, and my immediate takeaway, without a doubt, has to be Brandon Semenuk. After last year's disappointment, had 364 days to marinate on it, came back in such decisive fashion, and now adds himself to that illustrious list of a 3-time Red Bull Rampage champ.
So impressive. For me, it's just all about the overall impression, the vibe that this valley had in it, the spectrum of different types of riding we had play out in this valley. Yeah. From the finesse, the composure, and the absolute precision from guys like Brandon Semenuk, Brett Rheeder, and Tom Van Steenbergen, to the all-out energy and aggression,
yes,
almost off-the-rails approach of guys like Andreu Lacondeguy. So impressive out here, and I just can't even imagine what we might see next year.
Yeah, well, we've got a whole year to look forward to as we finally get a chance to excel. Back to you, Sal.
Thank you, Pat. A truly historical day at Rampage. Congrats to Brandon Semenuk from not finishing a top-to-bottom run last year to, in his first run, saying, "Give me that!" Holds on to first place for the entire competition, a win for the ages. He's a 2019 champ and joins the exclusive 3-time Winners Club, and for that, of course, he gets our signature moment. Also, congrats to second place, Brett Rheeder and Tom Van Steenbergen, rounding out that podium in third. Thanks again to you guys for hanging out with us. Be sure to follow us in any way that you get social. And on behalf of our entire crew, including Pat Parnell, Cam McCaul, and the one and only Tina Dixon, I'm Sal Masekela. We'll see you next time.